She liked adventure. She was a very bright person, and I think she got bored kind of easily. When she was like in her 20s, she would ride motorcycles, she drove a sports car, she was a wing walker at one point. She learned how to do skydiving with a parachute, and she was from Britain. Obviously, when my daughters knew my aunt, she was older, and some of their memories would be someone that maybe gave them a hard time because their table manners weren't what she was used to when she was growing up. You know, having these stories really round out, you know, the view of what her whole life was like, and not just her later years.
Men have always worked in the shops to supply man's needs in peacetime and war. But today, as increasing numbers of men are called to military service, young women must be ready to step into their places without loss of time.
In 1939, when the war started, she would have been 33. And actually her involvement in the war had kind of three different phases. Early in the war, in January 1940, she went to Finland as a volunteer and was an ambulance driver while the Finns were fighting the Russians. And she was there, you know, until the Finnish-Russian War, you know, ended.
Employers in the war production industries are now making use of young women in handling small machine tools, such as small lathes, drill presses, and grinders.
Her first job in the war was at the Hawker aircraft company, and she and a friend she had met during the ambulance service were the first women in the factory. She also had a machine where it just went either up and down or sideways. So to do like a curve or a circle, she had to use trig to be able to, you know, figure out where to make the holes. So she was proud of the fact that she had the education and knowledge to be able to do that. Actually, the machine shop got bombed one time, and fortunately she wasn't there at the time, but when they came back the next day, they had to move the machine shop to the other side of the factory. I think a lot of the risk we don't realize is, you know, what was happening during the Blitz when you know, there were so many bombs that fell on London. You literally didn't know if, when you went back to your flat at the end of the day, if it would still be there, or conversely, if you went back to the factory the next day, if that would still be there. It was also demanding because since it was the war, they were working 12-hour shifts Monday through Saturday and 8-hour shifts on Sunday, so there was time to do maintenance on the equipment, and then every 2 weeks they would have to shift to night shift, and so they were on their feet like 11 hours a day. Then she took a drafting course and took a job with engineering consultants that were designing propellers and other small parts for aircraft. Then at the very end of the war, she and her friend went over to Italy. They thought people needed drivers. They got over there, it turned out they didn't. So she ended up being involved in a camp for displaced people. One of the camps had like 1,000 people living in tents. And when she first started, there was a British major and captain that she reported to, but then later she was like solely responsible for these camps. And as she said in her memoir, she enjoyed being able to boss people around. After that, she came back and was doing social work in Wales with hospitals that had Polish patients. So she kind of thought, since she was doing social work, maybe she better get trained for it, and actually went and got her degree in social work. I think she was just the kind of person that persevered and pushed ahead, and also it was just kind of the era where you just kind of accepted what you needed to accept and push through it.